Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
Hello, and welcome to the third episode of Behind the Blocks. I'm your host, two-time Olympian and four-time Olympic medalist, Kaitlin Sandeno. Be sure to follow us on social media at Kaitlin Sandeno and at Wisp Sports. Before we hear from this week's guest, a word from our sponsors. Dive into summer and enjoy it to the fullest. Cheer on your family Olympians and keep the members of your team diving, swimming, and just having summer fun with Highlands Earache Drops. Highlands wants to make sure your summer fun isn't ruined by ear pain. Highlands Earache Drops provide natural relief from pain, fever, irritability, and occasional sleeplessness associated with earaches. Highlands has been trusted by generations to provide safe, homeopathic medicines for everyone in your family. After you've been diagnosed by a physician, try Highlands homeopathic earache drops or tablets. Earache drops are available at CVS stores. To learn more, go to highlands.com/ear. That's HYLANDS. Highlands.com/ear. Claims are based on traditional homeopathic practice, not accepted medical evidence. Not FDA evaluated. Always read and follow label directions. I am so excited to be joined today by five-time national champ, American record holder, NCAA record holder, five-time international medalist, and 2016 Olympic trials finalist, Amy Bilquist. Amy, thank you for joining us on Behind the Blocks today.
Hey, Kaitlin, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
I'm so thrilled to just touch base, see how you're doing, how things are moving forward. I mean, obviously an unexpected twist while preparing for the Olympic trials. Do you mind sharing that wave of emotions that you probably felt the last few weeks?
Yeah, it's definitely been an emotional roller coaster the last couple of weeks. I kind of had a gut feeling that the postponement was coming. But I think the little optimistic part of my brain was like, no, it'll be fine. Everything will work out. And then the day the news came out, my phone was being flooded with texts, and I just kept being like, I'm totally fine. I'm fine. Like, kind of saw it coming. And then once I had like 15 minutes of downtime, it kind of hit me and I cried a little bit just because, you know, I've put so much into preparation and was really expecting it all to happen sooner rather than later. So I kind of felt defeated in that moment. But then I was like, you know what? We are lucky to have the opportunity for it to be postponed and not just completely canceled. So it's time to kind of screw my head on, look at training a little differently for a bit, and just keep working towards that ultimate goal.
I love that. I love the positivity and the shift in mindset. So now how do you direct the new plans, the new goals? Like, what is that process like for you? And what are you doing to help you get ready for the postponed Olympic trials?
Yeah, so it's a big shift in mentality, you know, when something gets pushed back an entire year. But I think my biggest thing was I'm unfortunately not going to be in the water for a little bit. So how can I continue to get better outside of the water? So trying different forms of cardio and trying to keep my swimming mentality strong by visualizing my race and just always trying to practice positive self-talk during this time, because I think it can be a time where you can easily get down on yourself and feel like giving up. So I've been really putting the time into making gratitude lists and just remembering how much I should be thankful for my family's health, my health, the opportunity to be able to work out in some form. And I just think that moving forward, I just have to be kind to myself, because I think it's easy to really get into the mindset of I'm not in the pool, I'm not going to be fast, instead of, you know what, you're doing your best at this moment and that's all you can do, and just keep staying positive and keep trying to get better in new ways.
I love that. I'm like already feeling inspired. So quick into this. I just love what you're saying about the gratitude list and just being thankful for what you have. I just think that's so important. Now, was there ever a moment where you were debating, like, should I keep going, or is this where I say so long? Or were you like, all right, it's pushed back, here we go, new plan? Or was there any hesitation?
There was definitely a chunk of hesitation, and I really have been facing that chunk since December. I knew I had to get a knee surgery. And before trials were supposed to be in June still, and I was supposed to be getting a knee surgery in January, and I was just kind of debating whether or not I should get back into the sport after that knee surgery, or should I just call it a career at that point? But I had realized that looking down the road, like 10, 20, 30 years, I would be really disappointed in myself for not just trying to give it another shot. So when this postponement happened, I was like, oh, maybe this is a sign that I should have just stopped. And I just kept going back to the little girl, Amy, who wrote on all of her, what do you want to be when you grow up? A professional swimmer, an Olympic swimmer. I wrote that on everything. And I just don't want to disappoint her. And I want to give her the opportunity to chase her dreams. And I think by having a 2-week period where I was in my head being like, oh, you're a retired swimmer, how do you feel? I just didn't feel like I had given it that final shot that I deserved and that I've wanted since I was a little girl. So yes, there was a period of hesitation just because of the limits on my body. However, I feel like your mind can really help you overcome anything. And I've overcome so many injuries that I was like, you know what? We can do it one more time. Let's go.
Absolutely. And that makes me wonder, I mean, you had an incredible 2016 Olympic trials. I mean, that was the end of your freshman year, right? Going into your sophomore year?
Yep.
Of college. So you go to the Olympic trials in 2016 and you get third in the 100-meter backstroke, which obviously means you just barely missed the Olympic team, and you get fourth in the 200 backstroke. Is that keeping you hungry, or do you feel like you have unfinished business? Were you happy with that performance? Were you crushed? What was that like, knowing you were so close to making your first Olympic team?
Yeah. So I highly don't recommend getting third or fourth, but it definitely crushed my spirits for a while. But I think the thing that was hardest for me to process is I knew I could make that team. Like I put my money on me. I really thought I had it, and I put everything in that moment. And you know what? Like, I was pretty darn close, about as close as you can get. And I think the hardest thing for me to process was everyone was like, you were so close. No one thought you were going to be that close. Like, you should be happy with that. And that kind of narrative in my head, I was like, well, no one thought I could do it. Like, why did I think I could do it if no one really thought I could? And so I was a little down on myself. And then I kind of switched that positivity. You know, I was like, in my career, I've kind of always been like an underdog or slightly overlooked. And you know what? I popped on that scene in 2016 and I was like, I'm here. And so I think that also made me more hungry to like get my hand on the wall and make that team, and just honestly keep believing in myself, because I believed in myself at that moment and I was able to achieve so much. So immediately it did kind of feel like a failure, but the further I've gotten away, I'm just really proud of that moment and proud of the fact that I've kept swimming and didn't let that failure feeling deter me from the sport. You know, it really made me want to come back stronger and solidify a spot.
Absolutely. And talking about coming back stronger, I mean, more recently you won nationals this past summer after just breaking your hand. Mentally, you must have been feeling pretty pumped up coming off of a great nationals.
Yeah, I was super excited. I mean, it was really funny because the day before I broke my hand, I had this great interview with you on the side of the pool deck. And I was like, you know what? I'm just excited for the meet. Like, tomorrow's the 100 back 50 free day. Like, that's my bread and butter. And then broke my hand during that warm up and kind of just felt like a giant defeat. I was like, why did these moments keep being taken away from me? That's kind of what I felt. And, you know, I really had to switch up that mindset of, okay, maybe I didn't have that moment, but why can't I have a greater moment now? And the whole summer was just kicking all the time. And that was really mentally challenging. But at the same time, it showed me how much I really was driven and how much I wanted to get in the water. And even if it was just kicking, I wanted to do that. So having that end of the moment in the summer was just great. It was a cherry on top and really provided me with a lot of motivation heading into the ISL season and a lot of confidence.
Absolutely. Now let's touch on these injuries a little bit. I know they're not the most thing to talk about, but I think they're very relatable, because I think, you know, well, I get a lot of questions. Well, how did you keep going during your injuries? And our sport, even though it's not a contact sport, the shoulder injuries, the knee injuries, they pop up quite often. And, you know, you have a quote that you said, I feel like I have a new injury pop up every season. How do you mentally overcome that? And what would be your advice to any younger generation or even current athletes going through those injuries right now, what is your advice to press through and just keep on trucking along?
I think for me, as much as injuries have drained me mentally sometimes, I think it also invigorates my love and passion for the sport, because when you're injured, you can't always practice all the time. And I'm like, wow, like I want to be in the pool so badly right now. And it just reminds me how much I love swimming. So I think it's channeling that energy into excitement for when you get to get back in, instead of using that energy as, oh, like I feel so bad for myself, I just wish I could swim, this sucks, I'm really hurting. That mindset isn't going to do anything for anyone. You're just going to get stuck in a rut. You're going to feel bad for yourself. And every so often it's okay to feel bad for yourself, but you've got to snap out of that and be like, oh, wow, like this is showing me how much I miss the sport and how much I love it. What can I do with my limited options right now to make me better when I get back in the pool? So for me, when I had my knee surgery, it was just doing all the upper body stuff I could. So when I got back in the pool, my upper body wasn't as much of a weakness as it used to be. So I think it's channeling your passion and drive into what can I do right now to make me better when I get back in, because I might not be able to do everything I was able to, but I can still do something. So let's do those things well.
Wise words. I absolutely love it. And how is your knee doing right now? How is recovery going?
Yeah, it's going really well, actually. I just passed the 3-month mark, and we were hoping the 4-month mark is going to be the golden charm, but it's been feeling great. And I'm just really excited. My surgeon and my PT are just absolutely amazing.
Fantastic. Well, sending you well wishes always as you're continuing to, mend through this process. Maybe it's a little bit of a blessing to be out of the pool where you can really focus on that rehab. And like you said, there's other avenues or aspects to keep building that strength, even though you're not in the pool. I would love to revisit your college days. I am so curious how a young lady from Indiana ends up in Northern California. What was that recruiting process like for you, and how did you find yourself at Cal?
Yeah, so most of my life I actually grew up in Arizona, but my dad lost his job between my sophomore and junior year of high school. And I remember saying, he sat my mom and I down and like, hey, we're going to move to Indiana. And I was like, who lives in Indiana? Like, do people actually live there? So moved out there on my 16th birthday and finished my senior year there, and really did well at Carmel Swim Club, which opened a lot of collegiate doors for me, which I'm so thankful for. And my top 4 were Georgia, USC, U of A, and Cal. And I think Cal ultimately won in my heart, because not only did I fall in love with the team, I fell in love with the academics of the school, and academics have always been important to me. And I also figured I probably would never get an opportunity to live in a place like Berkeley again. So I thought it would be a really exciting experience for the next 4 years of my life.
So you touched on it real briefly that you had a successful time while in Indiana. You're an Indiana state record holder. You're coming off of a really impressive senior year of high school. You head to Cal, and you end up having a phenomenal freshman year at Cal. Was that an easy transition for you, or what do you, who do you thank for having such a smooth, exceptional freshman year? Because you don't always see that being the case.
Yes. So it's funny because my freshman year was anything but smooth. Every day just felt like a constant struggle. And I remember calling my parents, especially in the fall semester, like, can you just please come pick me up? I tried, just please, come on, come get me. Yeah. So but it's funny because I feel like any time in my career where I've been in a place that has just pushed me relentlessly and I've just been so uncomfortable is the points where I've excelled in swimming. So when I first moved to Carmel, I was super uncomfortable going to a new school, new training program. And that first season I had, I really exploded. And it was kind of the same thing when I transitioned to Cal. Unfortunately, I think I'm the type of person that just does really well when I'm super uncomfortable and everything's new. But I also think that's because everything's new and exciting. It's not so much of a rut, and you're not walking in knowing what you're going to be doing every single day. At that point, everything's still fresh and you're trying new things. But I think transitioning into college was a little bit easier because I did have that move in high school. So I was able to learn how to kind of like fend for myself a little bit and make new friends and join a new team. But I think I was super lucky to have upperclassmen like Fareed Osman, who really just like, and Camille Chang, who just took me under their wings and were like, hey, it'll be okay. This is kind of how it works here. And just taught me the ropes and really just emphasize. I had great leaders like Rachel Acker, who is an amazing student. And she was like, you can be both. You don't have to just be good at swimming. So I was just really lucky to have those older role models on the team to kind of guide me in the right direction.
Well, you just touched on it. I was just so impressed when I learned that you were the scholar athlete for the highest GPA among all senior female student athletes your senior year. I mean, that just blows me away. And how do you do it? I mean, you just said you had great leaders that motivated you to let you know you could be a great swimmer and a great academic, learner, but how did you balance that all? I think that is a question that constantly gets asked. And I get asked that, and I wasn't even that stellar in the classroom. How did you do it, Amy?
I think for me, the best piece of advice I got as a freshman is, one, learn how you study best, and it might not be how your friends study. So it's funny, one of my friends is super outgoing, loves to be in a room with people, and she can talk and get her work done. And then my other roommate needed dead silence, locked her door, like was in a cave type of thing. And I found out that I'm much better if I'm kind of in that like alone situation as well. I tried for a little bit trying to study with friends, and that just wasn't what was working for me. And then the second piece of advice that I got that really helped was be 110% present in wherever you are. So if I'm in the middle of swim practice, I need to be solely focusing on swim. Like there's nothing I can do at that moment in time to make my like scholar self better. Like I'm not going to help myself if I'm in the middle of a hard set and I'm thinking about, okay, that should be the answer to this question on my test. It's like, no, I need to be present at swim. And then when I'm done with swim, go home and study, put my phone away, don't worry about how practice went, and just be there for my schoolwork, and just really start putting those things in boxes and giving them all you have in that moment. And I think that was the trick that really helped me excel in both the pool and the classroom.
That's incredible. I love those points, and it's so spot on. What did you major in?
Media studies.
Oh, excellent. And where do you see yourself after swimming? Is that anything with your media studies?
Yeah, I've really bounced around with completely different career scenarios, to be honest. I would love to stay in the sports realm in some aspect. I thought broadcast journalism for a while. However, I went into college wanting to be a detective. So I kind of still have a love for like the criminal law. So I was also thinking maybe going to law school. Short answer is I really don't have a clue. I like a lot of different things. So I think once my swim career is over, I really want to try different things and see what I really want to do.
I love that. The criminal, that's amazing. I mean, look at you, a little like undercover cop here.
I think I'm slightly too tall to ever be undercover, but.
So let's go back. You had this incredible freshman year. You win Pac-12s in the 200 backstroke. You get third in the 100 backstroke. And then you go into the NC2As and throw down what I think is a very impressive freshman year. How would you describe the NC2A setting for, swimmers that have never been there or looking forward to going there? Because it is a pretty unique environment.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's probably the most energy-packed meet I've been to. Up to that point, it's crazy because it feels just like this giant glorified dual meet, but just spectators everywhere. And for me, I think it was the first time that I was really not swimming for Amy anymore. I was swimming for the name on my cap. I was swimming for Cal. I was swimming for the girls on the pool deck with me, and just really just feeding off the energy from a giant crowd. And just, it was so cool to me. I love the environment of racing and just doing it for the team. And that was my first opportunity of really being on like big relays that had a chance of winning NCAAs and the chance of setting American records. So that energy is just, for me, it's 4 days of just nonstop energy. And I think after NCs is always over, I hibernate for a week. Like you will not see me for a week. I'm just so tired and sleeping all the time after it. But it's the most high energy, fun hours of my life, to be honest. And it's crazy because you work an entire season and then you have 4 days just to put it all on the line with your team. So it's really nerve-wracking, but if you channel your nerves in the right direction, you can make that meet really fun.
And how would you describe your sophomore, junior, and senior year? I mean, you become like this clutch relay swimmer, right? And you're still swimming strong in your individuals, but I almost feel like you just talked about you're a part of something bigger than yourself, and you're the go-to, leg on those relays. How was that different between your freshman year and then moving forward to your final three, or your next 3 years at Cal Berkeley?
Yeah, I think freshman year I was feeling the emotion of, I'm just lucky to be on this relay. I've just got to swim my mind out right now. These girls are depending on me. And I think as I moved through the 3 years, it was less of those kind of nerves and more like, I need to be this for the team. Like, even if I didn't have the individual swim I need to let that go and put everything I have for the relay. I was taught by my age group coach when I was young. He's like, you should be popping out of the pool after an individual race and make sure that doesn't look like it hurts, but you should be, after a relay, you should get out of the pool and then you should be crawling. You should have put everything on the line for that relay. And I think that's just kind of the mentality I've always functioned with. And it was kind of crazy. I remember I was going, my senior year, I split 20.8 on the 2 free relay, and I went about 21.5 or 6 from a flat start. And it was just like, why are you almost going a full second faster on a relay? And I was like, I'm trying my best in both, but there's just this extra component on a relay that I can just get into this next gear and like, don't think about anything else, but go, 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 go. So yeah, relays are really fun for me.
So you're obviously this huge team swimmer. How has that been transitioning into the life of a pro swimmer, which is obviously a lot different now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been crazy because I think my senior year of college, I got really good at, when I wanted to talk like negatively to myself in practice, I'd look over at the person next to me and be like, you're doing great, let's do this. So every time I had a negative thought, kind of outwardly transitioning it to a positive thought to someone else. It was taking that away from me and giving positivity to someone else. And going into the professional world, it was a lot more training by myself. So I had to really find a way to be able to positively talk to myself and not just get rid of that negative energy by talking to someone else. And I think for me, that's been the biggest transition. It's instead of leading and inspiring other people, I have to do that inwardly now and do that for myself and find that within me. And I've been able to do that pretty successfully so far, which I've been really proud of myself. But yeah, instead of kind of leading a group and leading a team, it's really having to lead myself, which I found a different and interesting challenge.
I just absolutely love everything you have to say. I'm just sitting here, I'm like taking notes. You're making me a better human being. Something that I love that you're passionate about is you're driven to break body image stereotypes. Talk to me a little bit more about that and what first sparked that fire in you?
Yeah, so growing up, I mean, I'm a very tall girl and I was just consistently tall my whole life and just not really able to put on weight or muscle when I was little, and got teased all the time for being a stick and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people think that you can only be teased about being overweight and it doesn't really go the other way. But I think it really put like a negative self-image view of myself in my own head. I would look in a mirror and be like, this is just not cute. Like, this is not what a woman or a young girl is supposed to look like. I literally look like a stick figure. And then as I approached my first Olympic trials, I was super excited. I was 14 years old. I was super, super excited and nervous. And I walk on deck with my coaches, and my dream college at the time, I remember the coach came up to me and said something along the lines of, you look like you just got out of the Holocaust. And I was just distraught, and I couldn't think about anything else. At my first Olympic trials, all I could think about was how I looked. And I was 14 years old, and that should have never happened. And I think growing up, decided that, you know what, I don't really care what other people think I look like, or I don't care how they perceive me. I'm confident in myself. My body has given me so much and helped me go so far in this sport, and it's kept me healthy, and I just should be so thankful for it instead of critiquing it and thinking it should look more like something that it doesn't. And I think for me, I just didn't want any young girl to ever feel like how I did at a swim meet. I should be focusing on having fun, going fast times, and just celebrating all the training I've done instead of what I look like and being super conscious about how I look in a mirror. And for me, it's just celebrating young women's ability to do sports. It's sports the sport you do makes you look a certain way. Swimmers have those broad shoulders. It's just our blessing, and being able to embrace that and be like, you know what, this is what makes me so good at swimming. I'm so proud of my shoulders. And instead of being like, my shoulders are so big, like, this is not feminine, this is not cute. So just kind of changing that mindset and trying to spread that message to young girls, because especially with social media, there's just so much outside influence that's telling you that you should look a certain way. When, you know what, maybe looking that certain way, all right, that's cool, you're pretty in that sense, but at the same time, what are you achieving in your sport? Probably not as much as when you look, like when you have those muscles, when you can embrace them and feel confident in that. I think, to me, that's what beauty is, having the confidence in your body and being able to celebrate it and embrace it.
Absolutely. The confidence, I just think, is so critical, and it's usually so lacking from our youth. You touched on, 14-year-old Amy. I think 14-year-old Amy would be shocked to know that, present day Amy is now modeling. I mean, is that something you ever expected to cross your path?
No, I definitely didn't. I always thought I was kind of like just the ugly duckling and like too tall to everything, and I'm just blessed. Like, I still don't think I'm the most beautiful girl in the world, but I'm excited to share my confidence and how I feel about my body and how proud I am of it to other people, and hopefully that they can start gaining confidence in themselves.
Yeah, so it's more that the confidence is being beautiful. Being
right.
Beautiful is the confidence that you share. And, I do think that we're starting to see that image of quote unquote, strong is sexy. I think that is starting to pick up a little bit more, but people like yourself that are strong advocates for it and putting it out there and aren't bashful to embrace it. And, the quote unquote swimmer shoulders to really embrace it, and knowing that these shoulders are what makes me go and it gives me the success. And I just love that mission that you're on to spread that. I just think it's so powerful. And if it's something that we can continue to pass on from generations to generations, I just think the more that look, that quote unquote model look, is going to be embraced, that there's not one set that defines beauty. And I love that you are vocal about it and a strong advocate for it. So thank you for, on behalf of women and for, people that like to support the younger generation. I just think that's so admirable that you're out there doing that. Another thing that I love that you're doing is just your passion for giving back in other senses. I would love to hear more about this Surfing with Nixon for autism. Can you tell me how you got involved in that and what that experience was like?
Yeah, that was so fun. That was such a fun day. So they are basically using water as a form of therapy for autistic children. And a lot of the times water is such a sensory experience, so it can really calm them down and get them to focus on certain things. And for me, getting in the water at such a young age, it's always been such a calming place. So I feel like I can really relate in that sense. And they had reached out to me, and I was super excited because my sister is actually a speech language pathologist. So she works with autistic children all the time. And I was like, oh my goodness, I would love to come to the event. Can I please bring my sister? And it was just such a great experience to be able to work with the kids, surf with them, swim with them a little bit. And I just really loved being a part of it and can't wait to continue with it in the future. And I just think it shows how swimming and just water in itself is just such an inclusive environment, and how we can really use that to connect with each other and use it as a safe and calming space.
I love it. I just got the goosebumps. You're such an amazing individual. I just love it. Okay, so this is the fun part. Well, I hope it's all been fun. But the final question. All right, you ready for this one? The show is called Behind the Blocks. Amy, what are you like behind the blocks? What is your behind the blocks routine like?
Very, very serious, and I would say calculated. I would say most of the time when I'm behind the blocks, I have a strict, go through the same slap my legs 7 times, hit my arms 4. It's kind of this just series of motions I do that kind of calm my nerves, but also get me super excited. I'm definitely hit my arms, hit my legs, wake up a little bit. And then I put one leg on the block and I look down and back the number of laps I'm swimming. So if I'm doing a 200 long course, I look up and down 4 times. And in my head, I'm like, that's easy. You can totally do this. Let's go. So I think for me, I'm very within myself. I'm not listening to music. I'm feeding off the energy from the crowd, but I'm also telling myself positive things. And I'm just like, let's go. I'm in full gamer mode and just really want to throw down at that time.
I love it. Again, I just got the chills. I can like see you so locked in. And I love that. It's been so interesting for me hearing everybody's kind of superstitions or rituals, or, you know, you're so calculated. Like you said, I love that, just so locked in. If I was next to you, I'd be like, oh, I'm scared. But you're such a nice person. We actually had Vita Nelson on last week, and she was talking about, you know, how her behind the blocks has kind of changed from time to time, and she's starting to talk to more people and getting to know people. And she specifically brought up you. It was such a perfect lead in, because I'm like, she's our guest next week. And she talked about what a pleasure it's been to connect. And she specifically highlighted you just being so friendly and getting to know other athletes out there. So I was proud to know you when she said that.
Thanks. Yeah, she's so awesome. I remember when she said that. I remember going into the 100 back with her my senior year, her junior year at NCAAs. And before the race, I looked over and I was like, you got to get your American record back. Like, you better throw down on this race. And then when she did, I just like gave her a big hug over the lane line. You know, at that point it was, of course I wanted to win, but I was like, if she's going to beat me, she better go on American record. And so that was a really awesome opportunity to be with her.
Amy, it has been such a true pleasure. You're so inspiring. I'm constantly rooting for you. I know that you're going to use this next year to get even stronger and leave your footprint in the swim community, and just keep inspiring and keep pressing on. And just thank you so much for joining me on Behind the Blocks today.
No, it was so awesome to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
And that's our show for this week. Thanks again to Amy Bilquist for being my fabulous guest, and to our sponsors, Highlands Earache Drops. Please visit them at highlands.com/ear. Don't forget to follow and share on social media at Kaitlin Sandeno and at Wisp Sports. I'll be back in 2 weeks with the true female swimming icon, Amanda Beard. So until then, thanks for listening and helping us turn up the volume on women's sports.